Hi guys, Deb Acker here, back with another video. And today's video is all about accepting crumbs in our relationships, accepting crumbs in our life. And first of all, starting to identify this and then starting to create a shift to know that we are worthy of more, that we don't have to settle into scarcity unless we choose to, right? And so for those of you guys who don't know me, I'm an intuitive coach and I work mainly with women to help them to heal their past, to heal their childhood patterns, specifically around abandonment and the abandonment that can show up when we have physically and or emotionally unavailable parents, whether that's through them working a lot or through a loss in the family, through divorce and or addiction, right? And with having those kind of parents, and a lot of times when our parents aren't available to us, what ends up happening, where we end up getting rooted in, is we end up accepting less than we desire and deserve, right? We end up accepting crumbs in those relationships because just even a sliver of our parents' attention or even a sliver of our parents' love is more important than nothing at all. So first and foremost, see if you could relate to that. See if you could relate to that in some version of your childhood. I can tell you when I was growing up, my parents were divorced and my mother, she worked a lot and then she also liked to exercise, right? And so, a lot of times, like she was an amazing mother when she was there. When she was there and she was present, it was incredible, right? But a lot of times I did get in that conditioning, right? In that conditioning of accepting less than I desire and deserve and really accepting crumbs. Then what happened is I took that into my relationships and just literally, over and over and over, that would happen. And I wasn't really aware of it. And I also wasn't aware of how do I own my value, right? How do I own my worth to actually have more, to attract more in my relationships? So first and foremost, notice if that's true for you, and notice if so, where this is happening in your life. Okay, so, one example I'll give you, I was talking with a client this morning, right? And I have a version of this as well. A lot of times because, we want to earn money, we want to have money, or we have bills to pay, understandably, right? We have, employees to pay, depending on what that looks like, right? A lot of times we end up taking clients, taking on clients that are less than ideal, right? And again, when, we're able to say no to the clients that are less than ideal, when we really have that awareness, right? When we really have that version of, oh my gosh, this is not an ideal client for me. And if I can say no to this, right, I can tell the universe, I want this. Bring me this. And the same thing applies in our relationships too, right? When you're accepting less than you desire and deserve, right? And you don't say no to it, what you do is you tell the universe, bring me more of fill in the blank. So it's so important that you are taking that stand for yourself and you are saying no where it's appropriate. I know for me, a lot of times people tell me, in dating and stuff, they tell me like, oh, isn't he good enough? Like, isn't that enough? And I have a really strong vision of the relationship. And that's a lot of what I'm going to be talking about over the course of time on this channel, right? But I have a really strong vision of what that relationship is. And in part, it's me being 100% whole. It's them being 100% whole, right? And then it's literally those two combining together, making infinity, right? Or as my friend described it, one fire, another fire, and then we combine together and make a bonfire. So just notice, if you can relate to that, right? But, a lot of times, like if, you've been single for a long time, know that that's not in vain. Know that there's likely, and you may be conscious of this and you may be it may be more subconscious, right? But know that it's likely that you're holding a bigger vision of your relationship. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you, right? And it just means that you're holding that bigger vision and you're taking the stand for what you're truly worth and that you get to have that in this lifetime if you choose it, right? Which you are. So, once you've identified, okay, where in my life is this happening, right? Again, one important piece of that is saying no to the things you don't want or want less of, right? And as you do this, what ends up happening is you end up creating space for more of what you want, right? So if we can be willing to be in the open space, right? So there's a lot of people out there that, go through a breakup and right away get into a relationship, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, right? But just so you know, if you're willing to create that open space for what you truly want to come in, right? That literally can change it all, right? And that's making a huge shift. So you say no to what you don't want, right? And you leave the space open for what it is that you do want. Again, whether that's around a partner, whether that's around a client, whether that's around a job, right? That's another really great example. And whether it's around an apartment, an assistant, there's so many good examples. And I actually just recently have a blog post out on my manifesting process around, how I've manifested some cool things in my life. And part of that employs this concept of, can I say no to what it is that I don't want and leave the space open so that I can have it what it is exactly what I want, right? And not settle for less than I desire and deserve, right? And so with this, looking at your ideal. So say, for instance, you're in a relationship right now. If there's something in your relationship that is bothering you, something that you'd like more of, right? This isn't about saying no to him and going, no, but it is about communicating that, right? And obviously you have to determine, right? If it is a no relationship, obviously, then you need to take the steps to leave it. But if it's a relationship where you're continually growing and you're feeling happy, but there's something, you'd like to see more of, instead of obviously leaving, being willing to just tap into your heart, connect to yourself, and then being willing to express it from that space, right? So, what this might look like, and just express it from a space of vulnerability. And like yesterday, I did a video on feminine energy, right? So being willing to express it from a space of a feminine energy versus a masculine energy. So say, for instance, you're wanting more time in your relationship, right? One of the things, ways you might do that is you might say, hey, honey, I'm really finding I would like more time with you. And here's why. When I was a kid, I didn't get a lot of time with my parents. And so time is one way that I feel really, really loved, right? And, there are people out there that say, to do other ways of, for instance, asking for time. But I'm a firm believer in being direct, but being kind, tapping into your heart and tapping into your vulnerability, really, so that they can feel you, right? And men want to fix things. So it's like one of those things that if you can tap into that and actually have them feel you, they want to help, right? They want to be your hero. But obviously if you're just like, give me more time and you're doing this wrong, which, by the way, I've probably years ago, I used to do that. I'm sure some version of that. I wasn't really super aware of it, but I did it on some level, right? But if you're doing that, then that's obviously where they can't feel you. So if you can connect to your heart, get in your body and get present with your desire, and then let them know where it's really coming from, you'll find you're going to get a lot better response. So that's today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're enjoying these videos, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you're wanting more information on working together and all of my audios, my Healing Through Abandonment kit, you can head to deboraacker.com. So until next time, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon.